Nothing in life can defeat you if you understand that your greatest enemy isn't external circumstances or other people, it's the fear of becoming who you're actually capable of being. Most people don't stay small because they lack potential or ability. They stay small because they're terrified of what becoming powerful would cost them, what it would require them to sacrifice, and who they would have to leave behind. In this video, I'll reveal Machiavelli's dark psychological principles about overcoming the fear that keeps you trapped in a weaker version of yourself so you can finally step into the powerful person you've been too afraid to become. Now, imagine this. Someone has spent years being nice, agreeable, accommodating to everyone around them. Deep inside, they know they're capable of more. They have bigger ambitions, sharper opinions, and stronger desires than they show. But every time they consider pursuing what they actually want, a wave of fear stops them. What will people think? What if I fail? What if I succeed and lose the people I care about? So they stay small, stay safe, and watch more daring people claim the life they secretly want. Late at night, they whisper, "Who would I be if I wasn't afraid?" Here's the truth. They're not afraid of failure. They're afraid of success and the person they'd have to become to achieve it. While they stay comfortable being weak and liked, others embrace the discomfort of becoming powerful and sometimes resented. By the end of this video, you'll understand the psychological mechanisms that keep you imprisoned in a smaller version of yourself. You'll see why certain people break free from their limitations while others spend entire lifetimes playing it safe. And you'll learn the dark, uncomfortable truths Machiavelli understood about why becoming powerful requires becoming willing to be feared, misunderstood, and sometimes alone. Before we start, type this in the comments to lock it in: I will become who I'm meant to be, not who others want me to be. Most people never become their full selves, not because transformation is impossible, but because they've been psychologically conditioned to fear the very qualities that would make them powerful. From childhood, we're given clear messages about what's acceptable and what's dangerous. Be humble, not ambitious. Be agreeable, not challenging. Be modest, not confident. Be accommodating, not demanding. Stay in your lane. Don't make others uncomfortable. Don't outshine the people around you. Don't want too much. Don't become too much. These aren't just suggestions. They're sophisticated psychological controls that keep people manageable, predictable, and non-threatening. And they work because the punishment for violating them is brutal. Social rejection. Being called arrogant. Being labeled selfish. Being accused of changing for the worse. But look at who actually achieves extraordinary things. The ones who stayed humble and small, who never made anyone uncomfortable, who always put others first. Where are they? Exactly where they were 10 years ago. Still waiting for permission to want more. Still shrinking themselves to fit into spaces that are too small for them. Still choosing comfort and approval over growth and power. Machiavelli saw what most people refuse to acknowledge. Society needs you to stay small. Your family needs you to stay predictable. Your friends need you to stay at their level. The moment you start becoming someone powerful, you threaten the entire structure of relationships built around your weakness. When you're always accommodating, people build their lives assuming your compliance. When you're always modest, people feel comfortable with their own mediocrity. When you're always agreeable, people never have to face real challenges or conflict. Your smallness serves everyone around you. Your growth threatens them. This is why the path to power is so psychologically difficult. It's not just about building skills or working harder. It's about becoming willing to disappoint people, to be misunderstood, to be called selfish, to be resented, to be alone if necessary. Smart people recognize the fear for what it is. Not a warning that you're becoming a bad person, but proof that you're becoming a powerful one. The naive believe that growth should feel comfortable and maintain all existing relationships. The bold understanding that transformation requires becoming someone your current circle might not recognize or accept. Machiavelli's lessons aren't about becoming cruel or evil. They're about becoming free from the psychological controls that keep you trapped in weakness. He showed that if you need everyone's approval, you will never make decisions that serve your highest potential. If you need to be liked by everyone, you will never set boundaries that command respect. If you need to keep everyone comfortable, you will never pursue goals that make others jealous or threatened. The moment you accept that becoming powerful means becoming willing to be misunderstood, criticized, and sometimes feared, you stop seeking permission and start claiming the life you actually want. That's when nothing can defeat you because you've eliminated your need to stay small for other people's comfort. Law 1. Embrace the ambition you've been hiding. Most people carry secret ambitions they're terrified to admit out loud. They want wealth, influence, recognition, power. But they've learned that admitting this makes them seem greedy, shallow, or selfish. So they hide their real desires behind acceptable motivations. I just want to help people. I just want to be comfortable. Meanwhile, their actual ambition burns beneath the surface, unexpressed and unfulfilled. Machiavelli understood that denying your true ambition doesn't make you noble. It makes you dishonest with yourself and powerless. When you pretend you want less than you do, you sabotage your own potential to avoid judgment. You want to build something significant, make serious money, achieve recognition in your field. But every time someone asks about your goals, you downplay them. I'm just working on a small project. I'm doing okay, nothing special. You're performing modesty to stay likable while secretly resenting people who openly pursue what they want. You've imprisoned your ambition to maintain approval. This isn't humility. It's self-betrayal. When you hide your real ambitions, you cut yourself off from the resources, connections, and opportunities that could help you achieve them. You force yourself to pursue goals secretly, half-heartedly, always with the escape route of "I wasn't really trying that hard anyway." Machiavelli observed that those who conceal their true aims from fear of judgment never achieve those aims. Ambition requires open pursuit. Secret goals stay secret accomplishments, which means no accomplishments at all. Look at who actually achieves significant things. The person who openly states they intend to build a major company, regardless of who thinks they're arrogant. The person who admits they want wealth and works toward it without apologizing. The person who declares ambitious goals and pursues them publicly, accepting that some people will judge them for wanting too much. They are not shameless. They've simply decided their ambition matters more than universal approval. The secretly ambitious hide their desires, pursue goals half-heartedly, and achieve mediocre results while maintaining everyone's comfort. The obnoxiously ambitious broadcast unrealistic goals for attention, fail publicly, and prove the critics right. Powerful people acknowledge their real ambitions honestly. They stop performing false modesty. They admit what they actually want, even if it makes others uncomfortable. They pursue their goals openly, knowing some people will call them selfish or arrogant, and they accept that cost. When you embrace the ambition you've been hiding, you stop fragmenting your energy between what you claim to want and what you actually want. You align your public goals with your private desires. You pursue what matters to you with full commitment instead of hedged bets. That honest ambition makes you dangerous because you're no longer limited by the need to appear modest. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I openly pursue my ambitions without apologizing. Law 2. Accept that growth requires losing people. Most people stay trapped in weaker versions of themselves because they're terrified of outgrowing their current relationships. They know that becoming more disciplined, more ambitious, more successful will create distance between them and people they care about. So they stay at everyone else's level to keep everyone comfortable. Machiavelli knew that the person who refuses to outgrow their circle will never grow beyond their circle. If maintaining every current relationship is more important than your evolution, You've chosen stagnation over transformation. You start improving yourself. Training harder. Reading more. Building skills. Working on bigger goals. Your friends notice you're less available, less interested in the same activities, less content with the same conversations. They feel threatened. They start making comments. You've changed. You think you're better than us now. Remember when you were normal? You face a choice. Shrink back to maintain the relationships or keep growing and accept that some people won't make the journey with you. This isn't about abandoning people cruelly. It's about understanding that different levels of ambition, discipline, and vision create natural distance. When you're focused on building something significant and others are focused on comfort and entertainment, the relationship becomes strained. Not because anyone is wrong, but because you're moving in different directions. Machiavelli taught that those who try to bring everyone along on their journey to power never arrive. The need to maintain all existing relationships becomes an anchor that prevents ascent. You will outgrow people. They will resent your growth. You must choose between their comfort and your evolution. Watch the pattern. Who stays stuck at the same level forever? The person who refuses to do anything that might make their friends feel inferior or left behind. Who breaks free and achieves extraordinary things? The person who accepts that growth means some relationships will naturally end or transform. The people pleasers sacrifice their potential to keep everyone around them happy and comfortable, staying small forever to maintain relationships with other small people. The cruel abandon everyone ruthlessly at the first sign of growth, burning bridges unnecessarily and ending up isolated. Powerful people grow authentically and let relationships evolve naturally. They don't shrink to maintain connections. They don't force others to match their pace. They keep growing and accept that some people will come along, some will stay at a distance, and some will choose to leave. They grieve the losses but don't let fear of loss prevent transformation. When you accept that growth requires losing some people, you stop sabotaging your own evolution to maintain relationships that are holding you back. That willingness to outgrow makes you unstoppable because you're no longer limited by your current circle's level. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I grow forward and accept who comes with me. Law 3. Become comfortable being misunderstood. In the psychology of transformation, most people need to be understood and approved of by everyone around them. They need their family to see their reasoning. They need their friends to validate their choices. They need society to approve of their path. This need for universal understanding keeps them trapped in conventional choices that everyone can easily comprehend. Machiavelli understood that the person who needs to be understood by everyone will never do anything extraordinary. Exceptional paths look insane to conventional people. If you need their approval, you'll never walk those paths. You make a strategic decision that serves your long-term goals but looks questionable to others. Maybe you take a financial risk. Maybe you end a relationship that looks fine from outside. Maybe you pursue an unconventional path. People around you don't understand. They question your judgment. They think you're making a mistake. You feel the psychological pressure to explain, to justify, to make them understand why this makes sense. But they don't have your vision, your information, or your risk tolerance. They'll never fully understand. You can either waste energy trying to convince them or accept that being misunderstood comes with the territory of unusual choices. This isn't about being secretive or defensive. It's about understanding that you don't owe everyone an explanation that satisfies them. When you're operating at a different level of vision and risk tolerance, your choices will naturally look wrong to people operating at conventional levels. Machiavelli observed that those who govern based on popular opinion never make difficult, necessary decisions. The need for universal understanding paralyzes action. The powerful make decisions based on their own analysis, accept that others won't understand, and move forward anyway. Look at who actually breaks new ground. The entrepreneur who made choices that looked insane to family and friends but proved visionary years later. The artist who pursued a path everyone said was impractical. The strategist who made moves others couldn't understand until the results materialized. They stopped needing everyone to get it. The approval seekers explain endlessly, seeking validation for every choice, needing everyone to understand before they can move forward confidently. The isolated refuse to explain anything and become defensive, creating unnecessary conflict through poor communication. Powerful people make their decisions, communicate clearly to those who matter, and accept that many people won't understand. They don't waste energy convincing doubters. They don't get defensive about being questioned. They simply move forward with clarity about their reasoning, comfortable with the reality that unconventional choices look wrong to conventional people. When you become comfortable being misunderstood, you stop limiting yourself to choices everyone can comprehend and start making decisions based on your own vision. That comfort with misunderstanding makes you free because you're no longer imprisoned by the need for universal approval. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I make powerful decisions and accept being misunderstood. Law 4. Step into the discomfort of visibility. Most people keep themselves small and hidden because visibility feels dangerous. Being seen means being judged. Being visible means being criticized. Being known means being vulnerable to attack. So they stay invisible, share nothing, build nothing public, pursue nothing that would put them in anyone's spotlight. Machiavelli knew that power requires visibility. If nobody knows you exist, you have no influence. If nobody sees your work, you have no impact. The fear of visibility is a fear of power itself. You have skills, ideas, insights worth sharing. But every time you consider putting yourself out there, creating content, building a public presence, making your work visible, fear stops you. What if people criticize me? What if I look stupid? What if people I know see it and judge me? So you stay hidden. You consume others' content instead of creating your own. You admire others' courage while hiding yours. You remain invisible and wonder why nobody recognizes your potential. This isn't about needing fame. It's about understanding that impact requires visibility. When you hide your capability to avoid judgment, you guarantee irrelevance. You protect yourself from criticism by ensuring nobody ever sees what you're capable of. Machiavelli taught that the ruler who stays hidden has no kingdom. Power flows to those willing to be seen, judged, and sometimes attacked. The invisible are safe but powerless. The visible are vulnerable but influential. Watch who actually builds influence. The person who creates despite fear of judgment. The person who shares their work knowing some people will criticize. The person who builds a public presence accepting that visibility means becoming a target. They are not fearless. They've decided that impact matters more than safety from judgment. The hidden protect themselves from all criticism by ensuring nobody sees them, achieving perfect safety and perfect irrelevance. The attention-desperate seek visibility for validation alone, crumbling when criticism arrives because they need universal approval. Powerful people step into visibility strategically. They share their work, knowing it will be judged. They build their presence, knowing some people will criticize. They accept that being seen means being evaluated, and they decide their message matters more than their comfort. They don't need everyone's approval, so criticism doesn't destroy them. When you step into visibility despite discomfort, you stop protecting yourself into irrelevance and start building the influence that requires being seen. That willingness to be visible makes you powerful because you're no longer limiting your impact to stay safe from judgment. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I step into visibility despite the discomfort. Law 5. Embrace the responsibility you've been avoiding. In the architecture of power, most people avoid becoming more capable because greater capability means greater responsibility. They know that if they develop leadership skills, they'll be expected to lead. If they build financial success, they'll be expected to provide. If they become knowledgeable, they'll be expected to advise. So they stay incompetent to avoid the weight of responsibility. Machiavelli understood that refusing growth to avoid responsibility is one of the most common forms of self-sabotage. People stay weak not because they can't become strong, but because strength comes with burdens they don't want to carry. You're capable of leading, but leadership means making difficult decisions, being accountable for outcomes, dealing with conflict, carrying the stress of responsibility. It's easier to follow, to let others decide, to avoid the weight. You're capable of building wealth, but wealth means family will ask for help, friends will expect generosity, and you'll face difficult decisions about resources. It's easier to stay broke and avoid the complexity. You're capable of more, but more capability means more is expected of you. So you stay less capable, protecting yourself from burden by refusing growth. This isn't laziness. It's fear of the weight that comes with power. When you're weak, nobody expects much. When you're strong, people depend on you. That dependence feels like pressure. That pressure feels like a trap. So you avoid becoming strong. Machiavelli observed that many remain children their entire lives, refusing to develop capability because capability means losing the freedom to be irresponsible. They prefer perpetual adolescence to the burden of maturity. Look at who stays stuck. The person who could learn leadership but avoids it because leaders carry stress and accountability. The person who could build more success but doesn't because success means people will expect things from them. They're not incapable. They're avoiding the responsibility that capability requires. The responsibility avoiders refuse growth to maintain freedom from burden, staying weak and dependent forever to escape expectations. The overwhelmed take on every responsibility without building capacity, collapsing under weight they can't actually carry. Powerful people embrace responsibility as the price of power. They develop capability knowing it means carrying weight. They accept that strength means others will depend on them. They understand that refusing responsibility to stay free means staying powerless. They'd rather carry the burden of capability than the shame of perpetual weakness. When you embrace responsibility instead of avoiding it, you stop sabotaging your own growth to escape expectations and start developing the capability that requires carrying weight. That acceptance of responsibility makes you rare because most people choose comfortable weakness over powerful burden. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I embrace the responsibility that power requires. Law 6. Become willing to disappoint the version of you others need. Most people are imprisoned by other people's expectations of who they should be. Their family needs them to be reliable. Their friends need them to be the fun ones. Their partner needs them to be the accommodating one. Every relationship has locked them into a role. Becoming their full self means disappointing all these expectations. Machiavelli knew that you cannot become who you're capable of being while trying to remain who everyone needs you to be. The expectations others have built around your current self will fight your transformation because your growth threatens their comfort. Your family is used to you being the one who always shows up, always helps, always puts your own needs last. You start setting boundaries, prioritizing your own goals, being less available. They respond with guilt, disappointment, accusations of selfishness. You face the choice. Be the person they need you to be or become the person you need to be. You cannot be both. This isn't about becoming cruel. It's about understanding that other people's expectations are built around their needs, not your potential. When you exist to meet their needs, you cannot simultaneously pursue your own development. Their comfort depends on your predictability. Your growth requires breaking that predictability. Machiavelli taught that the person who tries to please everyone pleases no one and loses themselves. You must choose whose expectations matter, yours or theirs. You cannot serve both masters. Watch the pattern. Who stays stuck in limiting roles forever? The person who cannot disappoint the expectations others have built around their weakness. Who breaks free and transforms? The person who accepts that growth means some people will feel betrayed by their change. The people pleasers remain exactly who everyone needs them to be, sacrificing their own evolution to maintain others' comfort, dying as the supporting character in everyone else's story. The rebels reject all expectations violently, destroying relationships unnecessarily and ending up isolated. Powerful people evolve authentically even when it disappoints expectations. They don't stay small to keep others comfortable. They don't perform transformation to prove anything. They simply grow into who they're becoming, accepting that people who need them to stay weak will be disappointed. They grieve that disappointment but don't let it stop necessary change. When you become willing to disappoint the version of you others need, you stop performing a limited role and start becoming your full self. That willingness to disappoint makes you free because you're no longer controlled by other people's need for you to stay predictable. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I become who I must be, not who others need me to be. Law 7. Accept that power makes you lonely. In the final dark truth about transformation, Machiavelli reveals that the path to power is inherently isolating. Most people avoid becoming powerful because they sense this truth. Greater capability, vision, discipline, and ambition creates distance from normal people. Not because you're better, but because you're operating at a different frequency. Machiavelli understood that those at the top are always fewer than those at the bottom. As you ascend, the crowd thins. The higher you go, the fewer people can relate to your challenges, understand your decisions, or match your pace. This isn't a design flaw. It's an inevitable consequence of exceptional paths. You start pursuing excellence seriously. Training when others are relaxing. Working when others are entertaining themselves. Thinking about the future when others are focused on immediate pleasure. The distance grows naturally. Conversations become harder. Fewer people understand your priorities. Fewer people can relate to your challenges. You're not rejecting them. You're simply moving through a different reality. Loneliness isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. It's proof you're doing something rare. This isn't about becoming isolated by choice. It's about accepting that exceptional paths are less crowded. When you pursue what most people won't pursue, you walk a road most people aren't walking. That road is lonelier. But it leads to destinations the crowded roads never reach. Machiavelli observed that the king stands alone not because he's cruel but because height creates distance. The view from the peak is solitary. Those who can't accept loneliness will never reach the summit because they'll keep descending to where the crowd is comfortable. Look at who actually achieves extraordinary things. They often have fewer close relationships than average people. Not because they are antisocial, but because their path is unusual, their pace is intense, and their vision is rare. Most people can't relate, don't want to keep up, and don't share their priorities. Loneliness isn't failure. It's the natural consequence of an exceptional life. The lonely-averse choose comfortable mediocrity over powerful loneliness, staying at the level where they have plenty of company but achieve nothing significant. The isolated reject all connection and become bitter hermits, mistaking loneliness for strength. Powerful people accept strategic solitude. They understand that transformation requires periods of isolation. They build quality relationships with the rare people who can match their pace. They don't seek crowds, they seek equals. They accept that the peak is less populated than the valley. They'd rather be lonely and powerful than surrounded and weak. When you accept that power makes you lonely, you stop sabotaging your growth to maintain comfortable companionship and start embracing the solitary path to extraordinary achievement. That acceptance of loneliness makes you unstoppable because you're no longer limited by the need to stay where everyone else is comfortable. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I accept the loneliness that power requires. Now you know Machiavelli's dark psychological truths about becoming who you're afraid to become. How embracing the ambition you've been hiding frees you from performing false modesty. How accepting that growth requires losing people releases you from the anchor of relationships built around your weakness. How becoming comfortable being misunderstood liberates you from needing universal approval. How stepping into visibility despite discomfort gives you the platform your impact requires. How embracing responsibility instead of avoiding it allows you to develop capability beyond self-imposed limits. How becoming willing to disappoint expectations frees you from playing limiting roles. And how accepting that power makes you lonely prepares you for the isolation that exceptional paths require. But none of this matters if it stays as interesting psychology you appreciate intellectually but never apply. The question isn't whether these truths are accurate, they describe every significant transformation in history. The question is whether you'll stay small and comfortable, or become powerful and sometimes uncomfortable. Will you keep hiding your real ambitions or finally pursue what you actually want without apologizing? Will you keep shrinking yourself to maintain every relationship or accept that outgrowing people is part of growing? Will you keep needing everyone to understand you or make powerful decisions despite being misunderstood? Will you keep hiding to avoid judgment or step into the visibility your impact requires? Will you keep avoiding growth to escape responsibility or embrace the burden that capability demands? Will you keep being who everyone expects or become willing to disappoint expectations? And will you keep choosing crowded comfort over lonely power? Or finally accept the isolation that exceptional achievement requires? Nothing can defeat you once you stop being afraid of who you're capable of becoming. If this exposes the psychological traps keeping you small, hit the like button. Subscribe for more content on dark psychology and transformation. And share this video with someone who's ready to stop being afraid and start becoming powerful. Your transformation doesn't start when you understand what holds you back. It starts when you break free anyway. Drop this final affirmation in the comments: I am becoming the powerful person I was afraid to be.